Hey, fifth graders, it's Mr. Levinson. I am here to talk to you about the reading assignments that we did last week. And we had two of them. One of them was called What is an Economy? And the other one was called Money Matters. And there were some things that I wanted to point out to you, things that will make this a little bit easier for you. And the way that I want you to attack this, because I'm seeing a lot of the same mistakes that are being made, and I want to correct those mistakes now going forward so that it'll be a little bit easier and better for you in the future as we keep doing these assignments. So our assignment that we did first this week was called What is an Economy? Which is basically an introduction to economy. And when you click on it, it opens up here. If you wanted to, you could print it out if you were able to print it out. You could also use Snap and Read or download it. The district has also added to all the accounts this thing called Kami, which I'm going to use here. You can use it when you open it up the first time. You're just going to have to register for it, which might require you to have someone helping you, because it really only asks you to verify your username, but you also have to say that you're a student, and you have to type in your zip code and stuff like that. So if you're not feel comfortable with that, you might want to have someone around with you. You can always read it on here. You can use Snap and Read. I'm going to show you Kami. Kami will open up the PDF for you, and there are some tools in here that you can use that can help you as you read through a PDF. The PDF is going to look exactly the way it looked when you read it the first time. It's just that there are a couple tools in here that make it a little bit better. First of all, you can do text to speech, where you can have it read to you.
Times signature, times signature, times toggle descriptions, times move toolbar. Copyright teaching is the sweetest thing. What is an economy? You've probably heard about the economy on the news or from your parents. An economy is a system of making, selling, and buying goods and services. When you hear people talk about the economy, they are probably talking about the economy of the country that you live in. For example, news channels say the economy when they talk about the economy in the United States. There is a lot to say about the economy because it is always changing.
Okay, so that's one of the features that you have there. You can also mark this up, like you can use a highlighter, which can help you to put in certain parts that were important to you that you could remember later on. Always when you're going through a reading like this and you see something in bold-faced words, I really suggest that you look at that and look at the definition, just like we did when we did our iCivics readings, when I give you the highlighters and you would go through and bold-face those words and bold-face the definitions. Get into the habit of doing that, because it'll really help you as it'll help you pre-reading this document, and every document that you have. So after you've gone through and read everything, and it should not take more than 5 or 10 minutes to do that. Then we're going to get into the second part of the assignment, which was the actual assessment. And the assessment was here, the Google Forms. When you go to Google Forms, it takes you directly to the assessment. And you just follow the directions here. Now, here's the problem that I think a lot of you were having, that it seems that a lot of you were having, is that you read it and then you answered the questions without looking back at the document. Have that document open. I'm going to give you a little trick here to use. You can actually pull this. Now I'm going to hold down my mouse pad with one finger, and then I'm going to pull this out of that tab. So now it is a separate page. And here's what I can do with my hand. I'm going to press the Alt button and the Tab button. If you're using a Mac, it's going to be the button next to the Windows button, or next to the Mac button, but it is the Alt button and the Tab button. And I can go very quickly back and forth between these documents. The other thing I can do, if I'm a little worried about doing that, is I can always pull it out into a separate window, and this way I can click back and forth. So I've got this window with my reading. Oh, I don't want to put it back in there. Got this window with my reading. And then I'm going to make this one small also. And resize this. And then I can have them side by side. That's another thing that you can do. The only thing is that when you go between the two of them, it's going to block off part of them. So now I've got them on here. Now here's the next thing that you got to do. You got to read through the questions, and I wrote this on a lot of people's work. You really have to read the questions and understand what the question is asking. So the first question, according to the first paragraph of the text, why do people talk about the economy? So that's doing two things. It's asking me to reference the first paragraph, and it's also asking me a why question, which means I need to give a reason. What is the reason people talk about the economy? Well, I had some people define economy. That's not what it's asking for. It's not asking for what is an economy. When you hear people talk about the economy, they are probably talking about the economy of the country that you live in. For example, news channels say the economy when they talk about the economy in the United States. There's a lot to say about the economy, and here's your key word. When you see why questions, here's because. And because is a really big part of that. So, how do I answer this question? Once I find my answer, people talk about the economy because it is always changing. If I go here, that's what I want to do here. Why do people talk about the economy? People talk about the economy because it is always changing. Period. Okay? Next one, explain. And this is a word you guys need to get used to seeing. When you see explain, it means either define and give an example, or it means to say what something is or what something does. So scarcity here is the idea that resources are limited, but people have unlimited wants and needs. And that is really your answer. It's the definition. The idea that resources are limited, but people have unlimited wants and needs. And you can copy and paste it. There were some people who were really good at doing this about putting things in their own words. And that's what I really want to see. So if the reading is saying the reading is saying that scarcity is the idea that resources are limited, but people have unlimited wants and needs. So limited means there's not enough, and unlimited means that there's never an end. So I'm going to use those words. There's not enough stuff, but people have never ending wants and needs. There isn't enough stuff to go around, but people have never ending wants and needs. And that's underlined red because it wants there to be a dash there. Next question, explain the difference. So explain the difference. This one, I have people say what each one of them is, which is not really the question. You can give me both definitions, but you're not explaining the definition. All right, you're not explaining the difference, excuse me. What's the difference between micro and macro? Well, we got to know the two definitions. Microeconomics is the study of how individual businesses and consumers interact with an economy. Macroeconomics, on the other hand, that's the difference, means it's going to be the difference, is the study of a country's economy as a whole. It looks at the bigger picture of the economy. So I'm going to use a couple things that are in here as part of my answer. So microeconomics is looking at smaller picture, like jobs and companies, whereas macroeconomics is looking at countries as a whole, as a bigger picture. Microeconomics is looking at smaller picture things like jobs and companies, while macroeconomics is looking at the economy of a country as a whole. And for a good explanation of micro versus macro, think about what's happening in the country today. You have maybe a company like Ford or GE or Microsoft, and they're laying off workers, and they're letting people go because they can't pay them anymore. That's microeconomics. Macroeconomics is when the country's dealing with millions of people going through this experience, and then they deal with, or they do what they did just recently, which was this big stimulus package that the Senate and the House of Representatives passed to help Americans and American companies. That's micro versus macro. This is one that really got people describe the three types of economies that exist. And the reason that it got people is that it skipped. It didn't go in order. So you had these three economic questions, which was the last question, and you had this three types of economies. The way a country answers the three questions decides the type of economy it has. A country can have a market, command, or mixed economy. Now, the question says describe. So make sure that you are paying attention to these words in your questions. The verbs, describe, explain. It doesn't say list the three types of economies that exist. If it said list, then you could put market, command, or mixed, and that would be the right answer. But it says describe. So you're going to have to go through and look at each one and what it is. Market economy. I'm going to change that a little bit. In a market economy, and I'm going to go back to the reading to find that out, people and businesses make decisions. People and businesses make decisions. In a command economy, well, if it's not people and companies, who is it? The central organization that has all control. Who's usually the central organization? That's right, the government. So in a command economy, the government makes all of the decisions about the economy. A mixed economy is when there is a little of both. So we are a little of both. We have a lot of market economy where people and companies make decisions about our economy, but we also have a little bit of a command economy, because there are some points where the government does make decisions for us as far as our economy is concerned. That's been a real big issue in this year's election, is about how much power the federal or the central government should have over our money, or over the economy as a whole. And people like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are people who are really interested in having more government control, especially over healthcare. Whereas people who are free market economy people say that the healthcare system should be run by companies and the people themselves, not by the government. And it's a big debate in the country today. The last question, you have to go backwards in the reading, three economic questions. And it's in bold for you, so it should have been easier to find. Three economic questions, and they're here for you. First, the country must look at who consumes goods and services. So who's buying the stuff? Second, what has to be made? And third, how those things are made, okay? So when you're doing these readings, it really is important to read it first, to read the questions first, to make sure you understand the questions, and to slow down. You guys are trying to do these in 5 minutes. They take 15 to 20 minutes. You have more than enough time. You guys usually see me for 90 minutes, and I'm only asking you for 15 or 20. So please take the time, do the work, and I want to see, when I assign these for this coming week, a much better job with answering these questions. Okay. As always, if you have any questions or any problems in the classroom every week, I will have posted Mr. Levinson's help desk, which is a place for you to go if you need help. This opens up into a Google document, and the Google document has a place for you to ask questions. It's the fifth grade help desk. You ask a question here, and I answer it here. All right. So I hope to see you here or in the assignment. If this is a good way to get in touch with me so you can get a quick response. I know some people are going right into the assignment and they are putting in a comment in there. I sometimes won't get that right away. It might take me a little bit to get that. So this way is a really really good way to get in touch with me. And you can also use Class Dojo if you need to. So it was good to see you guys, and I'll be making a couple more of these videos about what we're doing next. We'll be doing some more readings about the economy this week, and I wish you good luck with all of your work, and I will see you online.